Okay, so look at Crysis at 21:9. The first Crysis game is so very different to the following titles in a number of ways. Yes, the core ideas are similar, but the first is a lot more sandboxy than the second and third, and that really benefited it. It's hardly a total sandbox by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still more than the later games. It's just a shame that this game was built so badly from a technical standpoint. But don't worry, I tackle most of the technical issues in this video, notably FOV, aiming down the sights, crouching, and FPS microstutter. But first, the 21:9 info. So the game natively supports 21:9 thankfully, with gameplay correctly showing up more on the sides of the screen in all moments. The HUD shifts to the sides of the screen, though with the binoculars the overlay just remains at 16:9 and you get open sides for the extra 21:9 width, but at least it's not black barred. Screen effects too make use of the entire screen space, stretching to fill it. In-game cutscenes are 21:9, filling the extra width. However, annoyingly, the game natively adds black bars to the top and bottom of the 16:9 image so that it makes people think that they're watching 21:9 footage on a 16:9 screen. But those black bars only cover the 16:9 width, so at 21:9 we see them, and then besides them we see them cut off when reaching the 21:9 screen space. So yeah, it's not great. I wish there was a way to remove them, but I couldn't find a way to do it. The pre-rendered cutscenes are just stretched to fill the entire screen space. Menus are exactly the same as at 16:9, with a black shaded overlay that extends into the extra sides of the screen, covering the paused world behind. There are no black bars added, so if it's a solid black background that you're seeing, then that's only when the 16:9 version would have been black too. And finally, loading screens are 16:9 with black bars. Performance-wise, now we hit the interesting side of life. This game, not completely to the fault of the developers as they took a gamble that unfortunately failed, banking on single-thread performance increases in the future as opposed to multi-threading development, and what that means is that the game only scales across, I believe, 2 cores, and that leaves modern CPUs with a lot of cores unutilized. It also means that performance is extremely bottlenecked as single-core performance has seen minimal year-on-year improvement since this game's release, and performance looks, well, like this. On my i7 7700K with a GTX 1080 Ti at 3440 by 1440, I couldn't stay over 60 FPS in every moment. Yep, sadly this game still cannot be run nicely. It dips a massive amount of the time, and it just simply shouldn't if it were well optimized. Whilst graphically it looks okay on highest settings, well, the water still looks gorgeous. Crysis games are notorious for looking great years after release. It doesn't come close to causing the performance that we're seeing if it were not an optimization issue. And it really is a shame. At times I would be running at 95 FPS in a quiet area and then start moving quickly or fighting, smashing objects, and FPS would plummet to the 60s and fluctuate between the 60s and 90s erratically. This had the effect of causing the FPS to look even worse than it should. Yes, whilst I'm on G-Sync and the FPS was over 60, 95% of the time, it doesn't matter when the FPS is fluctuating so significantly. It's a damn pain, and there is no way of fixing this issue. And the worst part is that this game is arguably the best in the series, which makes it all the more frustrating we can't play it well. I also need to note that this game will likely stutter for you when full screened. I got a ton of microstutter when I first started playing, even though the FPS was well over 60. I tried lowering graphic settings, it was still there. However, I managed to find the fix by just fiddling about. On screen, you should be able to see at the top is the full screen footage and below the windowed footage, same exact graphic settings, and that turned out to be the key. Running windowed mode fixed the FPS stutter issue. I have no idea why, but there you go, that's PC gaming. Obviously, you don't want to be playing in windowed mode, so just use windowed borderless gaming to make the window appear full screen and it looks great. There are another 2 problems with this game. Yeah, there are a lot of problems with this game. Crysis insists every time it loads a new level that it will somehow stop being full screen with the help of windowed borderless gaming, something that I've never had an issue with for any other game. So you'll need to tab out, go back to windowed borderless gaming, click add window, and return to the game and you're back in business. The other issue though is that sometimes the game will keep the mouse cursor on screen if you tab out and back in. Why? No one online seems to know, but there is no way of stopping that cursor reappearing over the gameplay once the glitch occurs, and you have to restart the game entirely to remove it. effort. Now, aside from performance, PC users of the game will have come across a lot of other issues. There is no built-in FOV slider, crouch can only be natively held but not toggled on and off, and there is no hold to zoom, instead requiring you to toggle it. Literally, they got crouching and aiming completely the wrong way round for this. So to sort the FOV out isn't actually too difficult. Just open up the console and type in CL_FOV and then type in your FOV number of choice. Details on this and everything else I talk about in the description. To fix the crouching issue, you need to create a blank notepad file and paste into it these 2 lines of text. Again, step-by-step details down below. Then save this file as System.cfg and save it to the Steam folder location where Crysis is saved within the config folder. Now you can play the game with crouch only needing to be toggled. Many thanks to WideAsFcuk for this. By the way, just be aware, because the game was designed with the idea that you would only be able to hold crouch when using it, you actually can't go from crouch directly to prone. You have to stand back up and then go back to prone, which is, yeah, very annoying when you're trying to keep a low profile. Lastly, to fix the toggling aim, so that you just have to hold the right mouse button and when you let go you stop aiming down the sights instead of it just being an on or off state, you need to go into your documents and find your Crysis save game folder. In there is a folder called Profile, and inside that a defaults folder. And here you'll see 3 files. Open up the one called actionmaps.xml in Notepad. Control F and search for the word zoom. The line it takes you to should say action name equals zoom, etc. There should be a bit more after it. Under that is a line that says key name equals mouse 2, and change that to a letter on your keyboard that isn't being used in game. For me, it was the letter Y, as I had changed my key bindings before getting to this before, but if you haven't changed anything yet, then set it to something like the letter K. Next, search again, and this time look for xi_zoom. The line should read action name equals xi zoom once you found it, and under that should be the line key name equals something. Just change that line to read key name equals mouse 2, then save the file and close it. Now finally, head to the Crysis Steam save location, so where the game is saved, and head into the game folder, and inside there, the config folder. Now open up Notepad again, and like with the crouch toggle, paste in these 2 lines of text. Again, this text will be in the description for you to copy and paste in, then save the Notepad file as autoexec.cfg, and save the file to the config folder location, and that's it. Now whenever you play, the game will no longer toggle the ADS. Massive thanks to Damn Statches for this fix. My god, the names are crazy. Okay, so the next, and actually this is the final issue, controller support. The game has horrendous controller use. God knows what the devs were thinking when they designed this, but the support is so bad that they didn't even bind the ability to go prone to any input. You physically cannot go prone when using a controller, and you also can't navigate many parts of the menu, such as the sensitivity slider for the controller. Well, you kind of can, the right stick controls the cursor, but that is a very awkward thing to use and it doesn't always register. You also can't, for example, lean to the sides like you can on the keyboard, but that's less of an issue as you use that minimally in the game anyway. Now the issues are made so prominent with the controller from the fact that you can't rebind any of the controller inputs natively in-game, so really you just have to use a mouse and keyboard, which is frustrating for the many of us who love sitting back with a controller. Now there is one way you can get around this somewhat, but it's nowhere near close to perfect, and that is to use Xpanner to rebind your controller buttons manually. That has its limitations too, but if you want to try it then go ahead, the option is there. Okay, so to the actual gameplay. Once you get past all of the technical issues, the game is actually a lot of fun to play. It certainly is still quite a typical first-person military style shooter. You're gunning down a lot of enemies with an assortment of weapons, however you are a super soldier with a fantastic suit that allows you to perform all kinds of special actions like go invisible, take massive amounts of damage, move super fast or have super strength. You select each of these on the fly and it uses up your energy when utilized. The story is very solid, it will keep you engaged and interested. The shooting can get a bit stale after a while, so take it in bursts, don't try and slog it all out at once. But the best bit about this game is that it is far more open than Crysis 2 and 3. It is still linear, but each section is far less narrow, far less constricted. Furthermore, destruction is a larger part of it, with many huts being totally destructible and trees being possible to break into many parts. It's not the most epic destruction around, but it's still a lot of fun. Now, I should note, the game features the ability to play many parts stealthily or all-out shooting, and the same issue is here that is with all Crysis games, and is the reason I hate stealth in this series. Enemies see you instantly. The second they have line of sight, even at a massive distance, they pinpoint you, and every single person knows where you are immediately and converge on you. Your invisibility tool doesn't last long enough to be useful enough to sneak around, and yeah, 99% of the time you'll find yourself fighting your way through every section. The stealth is simply, in my opinion, terribly implemented in this series. Anyway, on a more positive note, there are full native modding tools, so mod away. There are a lot of mods at your fingertips, so play around with it. All in all, I'd say this game needs a remaster. The performance and technical issues are just so numerous that it will turn a lot of people away from ever playing it, but I hope this at least will make life a lot more simple for those of you who do want to play it. I'm going to give it a WAF score of 4 because at pretty much every moment the game actually supports us very well. It just has little hiccups in places that pull it down from being perfect 21x9 support. So I hope that gives you some information on how the game runs at 21x9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful and subscribe for future info. For any other games at 21x9, head over to my channel or the WAF website. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to support the channel, the links to my Patreon page are in the description and Amazon affiliate links are there too. See you later.
Move up! Grenade! engage now. I'll provide support.
Moving up! Move up!